car freaks that can remember the late 60s and early 70s have this vision of the muscle cars of the day as heroic, ridiculously powerful and fast machines that today's cars could somehow never match up against. Well, they were certainly fast, powerful cars, but the truth of the matter is that most of them, if not all of them, would have a hard time hanging with today's modern performance sedan, much less these new generation of retro muscle cars.
Street drag racing was popular in those days as the cars could only really go quickly in a straight line. But today's muscle cars know that for every straightaway, there are two corners. They can not only go down the quarter mile faster and more quickly than their ancestors, they can also stop and corner in ways that the originals couldn't even dream about in that bygone muscle car era.
The word Hemi alone is enough to give you goosebumps if you know your muscle car history. And while Chrysler may have overused the word Hemi in recent years, it still represents something special.
In the case of the Dodge Challenger SRT8, Hemi means badass. The 6.1 liter Hemi V8 is the same engine we've seen in other SRT8 products. It makes 425 horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque, but unfortunately it has to haul over 4,000 pounds of car.
You'd think that chopping off 4 inches of wheelbase and having 2 doors instead of 4 would have saved some weight, but somehow it hasn't. To its credit, the car still accelerates amazingly well, 0 to 60 in less than 5 seconds, and the quarter in the low 13s. But there's no disguising all that mass. You can feel it the second you set off in this car. This thing is big.
As we've mentioned, one thing that those original muscle cars couldn't do well is corner. Well, the new Challenger shuns its weight and actually corners very well. Credit the multi-link suspension with sway bars front and rear, as well as 20-inch forged alloy wheels with Goodyear Eagle F1 tires.
Ride comfort has been compromised in the name of handling, however. The Challenger SRT8 rides impressively well, especially considering it's on big 20-inch wheels. The car's steering may be overly light and less communicative than you'd like, but that's about the only negative on the handling front. With a top speed of nearly 170 miles an hour, the Challenger certainly has the get up and go. When you have to haul it all down, the Brembo brakes with their signature red calipers do a great job of slowing things down. Although after repeated use, the physics involved in slowing all that weight start to play into the equation as the pedal gets soft and the brakes start to fade.
One source of frustration is the 5-speed auto-stick automatic transmission. While it shifts smoothly enough and quickly enough, no issues there, when it's in the auto-stick mode, it seems to have a mind of its own, upshifting when you haven't requested an upshift. It's very frustrating when you're trying to do silly things like this. Frustrating because I have to continue tapping it, or else it upshifts and kills my drift, like that.
But to be fair, this car wasn't built to be a track car. Unless, of course, we're talking about a straight 1,320-foot long track. What this car is all about is power, image, and nostalgia. And that it delivers. It takes us back to a time when gasoline was cheap and plentiful, and horsepower was king. For those who can still afford to relive those Mopar glory days, this is your ride. I'm Emile Beret, OnCars.